The Legend of Vox Machina is a great show. However, it does have its flaws, and this is my video review and analysis of the series. By the way, this video will contain some spoilers of the show, but yeah, enough of this intro, let's get into the first part of the video. The Legend of Vox Machina knows what it's doing writing-wise, for the most part.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
The opening sets up the tone and sets the expectations of the series perfectly. From the start, you know it's going to be a gory fantasy adventure with outlandish humor. And the humor is actually funny to me for the most part. The slapstick, whether it's gory or not, and the irony are definitely the highlights of the comedy. Things like this happen. Jokes like this are made.
One of our holy men already went to investigate it. Hopefully, it's not dangerous.
And they're funny for the most part, but they definitely do make an insane amount of sex jokes. That personally I didn't have a problem with, they were funny to me, but I could definitely see it being annoying to some people. The characters of the story are extremely simple, their motives, their personality, their flaws, and their roles in the group. The narrative is centered around a 5-man band, and all of them have their definite purpose. You have the all-brawn, no-brains guy that is the tank of the team, the quirky elementress, the archer lady that needs to crush my head with her thighs, the cleric, who is honestly the backbone of the team. She's overpowered as hell and just a really cool character. The edgy, ooh, I need revenge, ranger guy. The rogue guy, who is honestly cool as hell. Also, he doesn't care if you're a man or a woman. If he wants you, he's gonna try to get you. And lastly, Scanlan, who is the musical magician. And yes, I know he's extremely short, but in reality, he's 5'9". He's just drawn from the perspective of your average woman. He's also the vessel in which most of the sex jokes will be delivered in the show, since he's a chronically horny sexual supervillain. Just looking at him, you can tell he's a slut. I know my boy got some crazy STDs in his little bussy. But overall, the characters are very likable and their group dynamic is wonderful. No one feels useless or less important. Everyone has their time to shine, and I appreciate that. Minus the fact that Percy starts to feel more like the main character in the later episodes. Even the villains of Vox Machina are great. The Briarwoods have a beautiful intro that established them perfectly and set up everything about them exceptionally well. Also, Delilah is a certified baddie. I'm hoping Silas is a part-time cuck so I can appreciate his wife's dark magic.
You need to shut the fuck up!
I'm sorry. The voice actors all brought their A game and definitely played their roles convincingly. Case in point.
You must stop!
And lastly, the animation of Vox Machina is amazing. Like, look at this. It's beautiful and spectacular. Really magnificent job, animators. Alright, so now that I finished with the foundation of Vox Machina, I'm going to analyze, question, and comment on aspects of the plot, whether they were negative or positive. So let's get into it. The first thing I want to praise about the plot is that the writers knew how to craft a well-flowing narrative. It was really nice to see. Scenes in the show were never wasted. They were either always world-building, characterizing, or moving the plot forward constantly. This show wastes no time doing any nonsense. The humor that was part of the plot was also handled well. The show had very proficient tone adjusting. It knew when to take itself seriously and when to dish out middle finger jokes.
And you've been a lovely audience. Don't forget to tip your server.
Alright, so y'all just seen that corny ass shit.
The gore in this show is also effective in general, even when used comedically. Now, the plot of Vox Machina is extremely simple and easy to follow, just like the characters, so it makes it profoundly simple for anyone to enjoy the show with its simple concept. However, the story does use a lot of tropes, but it's not trying to be a genre-busting, intricate, complex masterpiece. It's just trying to be a good story. And please be aware that using an abundant amount of generic elements does not make a story bad. Like a friend of mine once said, a complex story isn't better than a simple one. Complexity just means you have more chances to fuck up. But all of the generic elements do make the story painfully predictable at times. For example, I saw Cassandra's betrayal and her death fake out coming from light years away. So the dramatic effect they were going for did not work on me at all. And when those things happened, I was just like, okay, I already knew. In the first episode, where the characters just have their traits explicitly stated, I felt like that was unnecessary, since it was obvious what they were like just from their actions and dialogue alone that occurs in the same episode. Also, when Vax and Vex were stated to be selfish in this same scene, I didn't see this trait of theirs ever portrayed at all, and they literally make an insanely selfless go at the end of the episode. So I felt like that little detail was just inconsistent and wrong, but tell me what you think. Episode 2 was extremely underwhelming to me. First of all, the plot twist wasn't as impactful as it should have been because I feel like there should have been more time to believe in the lie that Fence wasn't the real culprit, and that would have made the twist hit harder. The pacing of the first 2 episodes is extremely fast in general, but it serves the show well until it detracts from the impact episode 2 should have had. Surprisingly, there was a plot twist inside of a plot twist. Creed turned out to be the dragon, which looking back was kinda cool, and I think that was the true plot twist. However, the dragon's defeat kinda felt unrewarding to me because how did Vax figure out that the dragon's weak point was where the lightning originates from? I didn't understand that, so it kinda felt like luck to me. But if someone could explain that to me, that would be nice. It just confused me a bit. But I truly felt like the setup of the dragon's formidableness didn't match the payoff of its defeat since it happened so quickly and easily. During episode 3, where the best fictional fight I've witnessed in a long time happened, in the middle of the intense fire-ass fight, they cut to a haha, old man thinks Scanlan is sexy joke. And it was funny to me, I'm not gonna lie, but it slightly ruined the tense and amazing action scene that was happening. Like the writers usually know how to tone shift effectively, but in this instance, it was jarring for me personally. Also, in this episode, how did Vax know what room the Briarwoods were in the first place? Because I'm pretty sure there were guards protecting the other important visitors' rooms. Was he just lucky? And you might be looking at me like, damn bro, does it really matter? And my bad, I'm just really detail-oriented sometimes. But this was just a little observation. In episode 4, why wasn't Vex killed by the Wraith thing right here? It had time to do it and had no reason not to kill her. And yes, I am aware that she was still needed in plot armor and stuff, but realistically, she should have died. Just an observation I wanted to point out. In this scene right here with Grog here, this lady should not have died. She deserved better for real. Grog should have put in more work. Rest in peace though. Side note, Percy's face in this scene right here was kind of goofy looking to me. Like, bruh, tell me he doesn't look like a damn Goomba. Okay, so episode 7 was the worst part of this story. The extremely heavy plot convenience made Scanlan's accomplishments and the episode in general feel really cheap and unsatisfactory. It was like, oh, Scanlan is out of his element, but luckily he has the perfect potions to allow him to maneuver the situation so conveniently. And realistically, right here, this dude should have killed Scanlan immediately. He literally had zero reason to let Scanlan talk for that long and get himself defeated by goddamn penis lightning, but whatever. Episode 7 in general was just really disappointing. Archie's death was so wrong. They could have done him better than that, for real, man. And his demise only reinforced the fact that Scanlan should have died. And finally, the climax in the ending of Vox Machina is what I feel like is the weakest part of the show as a whole. The insane predictability of the show didn't help either. The protagonist won without any consequences to themselves personally. Everyone just wins and goes home. Haha, happy ending. But do not think a happy ending means an ending is bad. That is not the case at all. I just felt there should have been more dramatic consequences, and that doesn't mean character deaths, like maybe some of the characters have their weapons broken, or sustain more brutal injuries like broken bones and stuff of that nature, because that would have made the victory feel more earned and like an epic climactic struggle for the safety of their world. But instead, one of the pivotal parts of the victory is just given to the protagonist. Keyleth is literally just given the power of the Sun Tree to kill Silas with, which I feel like should have been executed differently by making Silas more formidable, because the way he is subdued into the beam of light was absolute bullshit. Grog literally closes his eyes and says,
If I don't know Rob swinging, then neither will you!
Really? I shouldn't have to explain how stupid that is. It just took away from the battle heavily and was painfully stupid. Also, the lack of character development caused the victory of the final fight to feel like an undeserved win. Now, do keep in mind, character development isn't necessary because static characters exist, But in this instance, I'm talking about in fighting skill exclusively. I do realize the characters learned from their first fight with the Briarwoods, but the characters didn't use any new tactics or strategies to win, so it also enhanced the cheap, undeserved feeling of the victory, since it was literally the same old tricks and they had to resort to Pike being OP and carrying the team. And lastly, Percy's battle with his demon had a really decent setup. However, I felt the payoff was lackluster since the demonic vengeance spirit that dwelled inside and influenced Percy for years was pretty much weakened by the power of friendship and then defeated by Percy in 20 minutes, even though the demon was fighting back at full power. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Legend of Vox Machina. If you have any input, tell me in the comments and I'll reply. And shout out to the 4 people that subscribed to me from the last video I posted. I appreciate it a lot. And by the way, if you're gonna watch the Arcane video, actually listen closely to my points. I know sometimes it might seem like I'm saying bullshit, but if you listen closely, you might be able to understand. And yes, I do realize I should have articulated myself better, but I actually do have objective points that make the story weaker for me personally. But yeah, never mind that. Just remember, The Legend of Vox Machina is great, but flawed.
You guys are so fucking dumb. Anyone who has a fucking comeback to that better fucking shut the fuck up, okay? Not kidding. Like, you sound so fucking dumb. You know nothing. You honestly know fucking nothing. If you have any rebuttal to that, dumbass, stupid.